guy, first off, let's talk about obviously the big center production thing, BlazBlue Continuum Shift here.
Right.
What is some of the new stuff that's coming out in Continuum Shift that's going to add fresh new experience to the Calamity Trigger experience?
Okay, so if you haven't played Continuum Shift in arcade, they added two new characters, Tsubaki and Hazama. So they appeared in Calamity Trigger in the story mode.
As NPCs.
Right, as NPCs. So now you can both of those characters are playable. There's also a console exclusive character,
Mew 12.
Yep. So she'll be making her appearance. We don't have her here playable, but
because she's on the console exclusive, obviously.
Right.
Because you have the arcade version right here.
Right.
Which I can't wait to get my hands on that one.
And then also the story actually moves forward in this one. So
surprisingly, every time I tell someone about BlazBlue and I introduce it to them, I'm like, the story is really good. And like, story in a fighting game? And I was like, no, don't knock it until you try it. And I've actually converted like half a dozen people who thought that fighters could never have a good story.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's half the reason I'm excited for this, is just because I think the characters are so well developed and so well presented and so well voiced that like, that's one of the reasons why I really, really want this game. I mean, obviously because the gameplay is killer.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't hurt for a fighting game to be fun. But I just thought the presentation was really great.
So like you'll start out with a hero, and then you'll meet some girls along the way, and then you can marry one of the girls and start the next generation of hero.
I just think that's really interesting because a lot of games have like romance subplots, but they never really amount to anything other than maybe an extra ending.
Right.
But with this one, you're taking that one step further and you're actually making like change the gameplay.
Right.
Which I just think is really unique.
Right. So
not many games do that.
Right. So you'll have a different hero. Like the hero will look different. Like depending on who you married in the previous generation.
Do you always have the same main character? Like it's the same. Okay, so you can pick a different main character
You'll
and
have
a different romance.
Right.
That's a lot.
Right. So and there's I think there's 4 or 5 generations. So you'll go through you'll be given your initial character. You'll meet a fine young lady and get married.
Is it like a random boy girl child, or will it always be like a boy that you get?
It'll always be a boy.
Okay, here is Deathsmiles, which you said is a shoot 'em up game.
Yes, it's a Cave's horizontal shmup. It's actually one of Cave's easier bullet hell shooters.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Right, and it features gothic Lolita girls.
Yeah, I see a nice little element of contrast.
Exactly.
Here.
We got to give some love to the other side.
Yeah, not every gamer is a guy who likes young chicks and ribbons and stuff.
Yeah, so that recently came out. That just came out actually yesterday or on Thursday on the PSN network for your PSP.
That sounds really cool.
And we also just came out with BlazBlue PSP Calamity Trigger. So that's basically the last year's game on portable.
Which, that was another thing I was very impressed with. I was very impressed with the portable version of Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus.
Yes.
Because I was expecting like a huge quality loss in animation and sound, but it was essentially like you just took the whole game and put it right there. There was no loss of anything. You even added stuff.
Yeah.
Which I was just very impressed with that. And I've seen
Cannibal, which is another indie game.
I've not.
It's very similar to that. But again, the point of most of the retro games, like Deathsmiles and the Bit Trip series, is the high score.
Which not many games are doing nowadays.
Not very, yeah, exactly.
That seems to be like a good focus on indie games, is the bring back of the high score and the getting actual rewards for getting a score. Then let's get in line for playing some BlazBlue.
All right, man. Thanks.
The picture runners. We have to build them now.
Well,